Welcome, everybody. We want to welcome you to another Cambridge Arts panel as part of the Cambridge Art Council and the 2020 virtual Cambridge Open Studios. This has been and it will continue to be a new experience for us as we present our art and the artists from Cambridge. Cambridge has a wonderful, diverse community of artists, and over 100 artists are participating this year in our virtual open studios. And we certainly invite everyone to join the artists and the art marketplace at csart.com, csartcambridge.com website. This website will continue to be up and running through the end of this month, through December 31st. And now we are one more artist panel among several. Several have happened, and we will have a couple of more. We certainly want to thank the members of the Cambridge Art Council as well as CCTV for allowing us to do this. I am the moderator. My name is Bobby Vilinsky. I think you can see the name of the other artists on screen. And maybe I will ask each of us to kind of wave or give a virtual shout. Again, I'm Bobby. We have Linda, we have Nancy, and we have Yumi. And again, we're delighted to have everyone who's been able to tune in on this. I guess what's going to be our first bout of New England winter with a forecasted nor'easter coming, and hopefully that's kind of driven all of you who are tuning in to be with us. So to get started, I am going to talk about my artwork first, and I guess I would say that I am at this point have become more of an artist. Well, I've done many things, and my work has evolved. What I'm doing now and is, what you'll see a variety of images of my work. This is a line drawing from several years ago. And what I've really done is take images and copy them and transform them onto through acrylic gel. And acrylic gel is basically just a wet medium, and you can basically put layers and layers of that wet medium, the acrylic gel, on something like this drawing. I would say that I don't put the gel directly on the actual drawing. What I do is I make a copy of it and basically relying a lot on my copier, which not only allows me to make copies, but I can enlarge the image or make it smaller. And then once I put down maybe 5 or 6 layers of the gel on that copied image, then I basically, once it's dry, I put it in water and soak off that gel so that the image transforms to from what started as paper into an acrylic sheet. I guess we can have the next slide. And in this case, the image is less important than being able to see that curly sheet, which is the acrylic gel. And you can see that it's also translucent, so that here in this case, because it's mounted on wallpaper, you can see through it. And that's largely been my intention, certainly in terms of what I've been doing. I guess now the next slide. And this is an image of one of my more recent work. And you can see what's happened is it's changed quite a bit. Maybe, Kirsten, can you go to the next slide for a minute? And the next after that, that's also a recent one. And I think the last slide for a minute. Yeah, the reason I want to show this is that this is an example of art that I did maybe 2 or 3 years ago, where I've taken an image, transferred, and I think you can vaguely see that there are impressions of something. It's certainly very abstract, and I've repeated it, and I've mounted it on wallpaper. I was very interested in working with a repeated image that was recognizable. Now, I guess you can go back to, I guess, the third slide. Yeah. Basically, a couple of years ago, or maybe I would say now the year before last, I got very frustrated with that image on the wallpaper, the repeated image, and it wasn't in sync with how I was feeling. I've had some physical issues that have really kind of interfered with my life, and I didn't feel that the effort to repeat was really working. So I really wound up tearing up copies of images and still soaking them in the acrylic gel and basically creating a collage of that torn up imagery. I feel, even though it's more abstract and to many eyes it may not be familiar, it's serving my own emotional expression. And so I guess we can go to the next couple of slides again. And that's kind of what I've worked with. And I would say that this year, because of COVID, I have not been in my studio, and it's kind of had me have to pause on this. I think when I get back, when we can kind of be back safely working in our studios, I'm hoping to try to expand the size of these. These are all kind of around 8.5 by 11. So I think that, it's something I want to continue working with. I would also say to learn more about what I've been doing, because you can go to my website, bobbyvilinsky.com. I think my website, along with all the other artists, is available through the csartcambridge.com website when you click on our individual links. And I think with that, we're going to go to Nancy. I guess, though, I just want to say for everyone who might be tuning in, we thank you again, and invite you to see the artwork and the marketplace to buy art over this, especially this holiday season, at csrcambridge.com, where you can see all of our art and have an opportunity to purchase it. And with that, I want to present Nancy, who is a wonderful etching artist. And I think one thing I share with her, as I've said, in terms of, even though we work entirely differently, is that I think we are both interested in tapping into our emotional experience and finding ways for our art to serve that. And I guess with that, I invite Nancy to enter into her presentation. Take it away, Nancy.
Thank you, Bobby. As Bobby said, I'm an etcher. And what I do is fun, because I draw on a copper plate, which these are 2 copper plates that I have. These 2 prints from the copper plate are on the Open Studios marketplace right now. And the results of these prints are these 2 prints. So you can see from the copper, I don't know if you can tell the image. In this one, you can see this is Juliet. These 2 are my Romeo and Juliet cameos, I call them. So the copper is a wonderful medium, because you can, all you have to do is scratch it a little and you've made a mark. And if you ink it up, it'll print. And I wanted to show you some of the tools that I use. I use in copper, you can use anything to scratch. You can use anything to mark the plate, but this is a scribe, or has a sharp point. If I make a mistake, I can use, if I have a line I don't like, I can scratch this out, and then I can burnish it and smooth it, and it becomes white. And I think the fun tool is this, it's called a rocker. And if you put it on the plate and rock it back and forth, and you rock it all over the plate, it creates big grooves all over the plate. And what this does is, this, if you printed it up, if you did a whole plate with this rocker and printed it up, it would be black. And when I start with one of these plates, if I printed it up, it would be all white. So if you want to start with a black tone and then burnish, you can get something like this, which was all black, and then I had to burnish in white. What I do, and this, for my Romeo and Juliet, what I use, I want to get them the right way. I use a method called Aqua Tint. And so the Aqua Tint is such that I spray rosin all over the plate. And I'll spray it all over the plate. No, I won't spray it. There's a way to do it. And I adhere it to the plate. And then with the rosin adhered on the plate, I stop out anything that I want to stay white. I will stop out, and I will then put the plate in acid. And so I will put it in for like 30 seconds. And that 30 seconds will give a very light tone. So then I stop out whatever I want that light tone, whatever I want to stay the light tone. And then I keep doing that iteration over and over. And then the black part has been in the acid for the longest. But for etching, you can use acid, or when I use all these different tools, I don't have to put it in acid. Just printing it up, inking and printing it up will show the black, but I'm skipping a little bit. But once I do all the aqua tint on it, I ink up this whole plate, and then I use this gauze to wipe very carefully the plate, because I want to wipe the plate so the whites are white and the blacks stay black. And you have to rub very carefully. And sometimes wiping can create more of it can create a lot of different tones too. I'm going to show you now. When I first started out doing this, I was in school. I just graduated from school in 2015, and for my independent project, all my work is about my emotions, but this was about my emotional recovery from loss. And I'm going to show you a couple of these pieces. This one is called Alone, and I always take pictures. So this is my picture. I thought, oh boy, that little flower looks so alone. So that's my etching, and I have it in a box. And I wanted to say that even though I'm alone, I'm beautiful. So I tried to make the flower as beautiful as I could. And then this one is my one about anxiety. I call it On the Edge. And then I have the picture there. I always like to pose. I pose all my well, I should say I use the sunflower as a metaphor now, that since I started this in school, I've been keep using the sunflower, and it's suited me well. I pose them. And this one is my one, which the theme of my independent project was facing the lost. So this is the one called Facing the Lost. And then my next, I got a good start when I was selected to be part of the community supported arts program with CS Art. So for that, I did, we had to do 50 prints, and I did, I did 5 prints, 10 each. And this one, well, this isn't my print, but that's my drawing. My picture and my drawing, I spent a lot of time drawing things out. And, oh, I'm sorry, I'm getting mixed up. This is my last one from my independent project, and it's called I Am. After On Edge, my final one was I Am Who I Am. And this is my one called I Am. But for the community supported arts, I did 5 on kindness. So I did this one, it's called Compassion. I did one about support. You always need someone to support you. Compromise, which is appropriate now. Listen, you always need someone to listen. And don't turn your back. And those were and the community supported arts program was a wonderful program. And I have to say that retail businesses in Cambridge really helped support us. And one of them was Pemberton Farms, which has been great. And then I just wanted to show you a couple of my more recent ones, which is Someone to Talk to. This is the one I call the Oglers. And then my final pieces I just finished, and this is more of a COVID one. I work with the elderly, and I've found the hardest thing during COVID is that you can't hug anybody. And so this one is called The Hug. So I'm gonna go out of here, and I can take any questions. I should say I love what I do. I love thinking about what I want to say, and I keep trying to say different things. So anyway, I can pass it to you, Bobby.
Okay. Well, one thing I want to say to any of you who may have questions, you can click on your link at the bottom of the screen that says Q&A, and you can type in your questions. And I think we can address them. I think it might be better, though, for now, to hold questions until each of us as artists has a chance to run through our presentation, and then you can direct your questions to each of us afterward. So, and I also want to, again, welcome anyone who may have tuned in late, that we are a panel of Cambridge artists participating in Cambridge's virtual open arts, virtual open studios this year. You can catch us on csartcambridge.com, and you can see all of our art running through the end of December. We also want to, again, thanks CCTV and the Cambridge Art Council for helping us do this. And with that, I would like to welcome Linda, who is also an amazing artist in that she's worked in a variety of ways and quite remarkable. And she's also developed a lot of contacts, it seems, in the community and developed these contacts. I hope in particular, I don't know if she'll address this, but you will see on the website glasses that she kind of calls or makes reference to, now I'm blanking on the word. Maybe she can address that when she gets to it, but I'll let her take over and ask the question later. Okay. So take it away, Linda.
So thank you so much, Bobby, for the kind words. I actually work primarily as a medical editor, and I also have a volunteer-run educational nonprofit that works in Haiti and Armenia, and that's called Charitable Confections. And a few years after I started Charitable Confections, I started my sugar and chocolate art business called Chipper Confections, which I refer to as the business-minded sister of Charitable Confections. And we give 5% of all our sale proceeds, whether it's from the online shop or from selling art in galleries or this wonderful showcase, the current one with Cambridge Arts Council. We give 5% to the nonprofit Pure Water for the World, whom I met while writing an article for the Harvard Review of Latin America about safe water in Haiti. And I got started in the edible medium in kind of a random and meandering process. I had studied sculpting in the clay medium in my youth purely as a hobby. And then I transitioned, I dabbled in everything. I'm a hardcore arts and crafts geek. I have designed clothing, I've made jewelry, I've made decorative head garnishes, not this one, but other things. And I've even done Ukrainian eggs with hot wax, painted in watercolor. And one day it just occurred to me as a sugar fiend that I should give a whirl to working in the edible medium. And I thought about my favorite childhood book, the book by Roald Dahl, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. And I remember one part of it that was so evocative for me when Augustus was flailing about in the chocolate river and how I envied him for that opportunity. And I thought about how wonderful it would be to be ensconced in chocolate. So actually the first edible design I made was a chocolate and sugar paste bustier, which you're going to see shortly in my slideshow. And now I primarily work with chocolate and a sugar called Isomalt. And I teach classes at Cambridge Center for Adult Education. And they have done a wonderful job of transitioning from in-person to online classes. They've given teachers a lot of resources to help us start teaching via Zoom. And I will also be teaching a chocolate class at the wonderful Manhattan-based New York Cake Design Lab when it becomes safe enough for them to open up. But in the meantime, people can check out their website and see all the classes that are kind of on the back burner. I feel as though my science and humanitarian background has helped with my sugar and chocolate art classes. With the sugar class, there's a lot of science involved, and I always, whether the students want to hear it or not, I give a little lecture about the molecular composition of isomalt. With the chocolate classes, I delve into the humanitarian ethics issue of all the plantations worldwide that use child slaves to harvest cacao beans. And I even did research in Ghana on this topic several years ago. So I have this photo we took of cacao beans on one of the plantations in Kumasi, Ghana. And this is, for any of you who don't know, this is what your chocolate bar starts out looking like. And then it's the whole complicated process of conching and emulsifying and all that sort of thing. My artistic mission has been to blur the divide between visual and culinary arts. I don't think it's fair that just because artwork is created using an edible medium, that it should be merely relegated to being a centerpiece on a dining or buffet table. And I'm going to show examples later on of my edible art coexisting peacefully with non-edible art pieces in the gallery settings. So let me start my little slideshow. Okay, so this right here is what I had referenced a short while ago. It's a sugar paste and chocolate bustier. And it's quite I found it quite surprising that sugar paste, although a bit cumbersome, is actually quite comfortable and smooth against the skin. And I actually made this as a recreation of a brocade bustier that I had designed a few years earlier. I had picked up some fabric while I was working in Singapore. So I had made a brocade bustier, and then this is the sugar paste and chocolate version I made of that. And let's see, next we have, this is my Isomalt and sugar paste aquarium. The bowl is made out of pulled isomalt. The fish is cast isomalt.
All right, Linda, you need to share your screen.
Oh, goodness. Sorry.
That's okay.
Okay, wait 1 second. Let me exit. Okay. About that. Okay, I forgot to click that button. Okay, there we go. Okay, can you see that now?
Yep. Now we can see it. Yep.
Okay, so really quickly, that was the sugar paste. I was babbling and I had no idea, no one could see what I was talking about. That is the sugar paste and chocolate bustier. And the other slide I referred to, this is the pulled isomalt aquarium. So it's pulled isomalt, cast isomalt, and sugar paste. And this is actually the logo for my sugar and chocolate art business. Now, this next slide is isomalt sculpture. It's called Priority 64292. This here is shown in the gallery at University Gallery, Harvard Square. It was my first foray into infiltrating art galleries, so I was really proud about it. And the title of this piece references the United Nations resolution that recognizes safe water as a basic human right. And it was inspired by the situation during the February 2019 protest in Haiti to government misuse of funds from Venezuelan loans through the Petrocaribe program. And basically the protest shut down Port-au-Prince and left several of our friends in Cité Soleil, which is where my nonprofit operates, just in really bad shape and perishing from dehydration. And we're going back to the title. 6492 is the actual name of the United Nations resolution, and priorities refers to the Haitian's government priority to pocket money for their own personal use instead of helping citizens in need. So that, next up is my Isomalt painting entitled Tree of Wisdom, shown here at the Catherine Schultz Gallery. This piece is also part of the Cambridge Arts Council's current showcase. So if you go to csarts.com, you will be able to find it there. It was, of course, inspired by Gustav Klimt's Tree of Life painting. This painting with Isomalt is a technique I just started experimenting with several months ago. Basically, I wait until the sugar syrup has congealed to just the right consistency. Then I use a metal cocktail pick to paint, being careful not to get extraneous drops of sugar on the canvas. The background of the piece was created by spray painting edible paint in cans on the canvas. And I know you can't really see by looking at this, but embedded inside all of the Isomalt leaves are quotes that were printed with edible ink on potato starch paper. And the quotes are by John Locke, Aristotle, W.E. Du Bois, and Martin Luther King Jr. And I am particularly keen on the quote by philosopher John Locke. And I feel as though 350 years later, his observation often still holds true. And his quote was, "New opinions are always suspected and usually opposed without any other reason but because they are not already common." And I feel as though this quote sort of applies to me trying to infiltrate the visual arts world with my edible art. And some people in Cambridge, I've received such a warm welcome, and some people just think I'm really odd, which is okay, maybe I am. All right. This next slide is my potato starch paper holiday card. And edible cards are waste-free because they are consumed, not thrown out. And as somebody who's very environmentally conscious, another reason why I like to work in the edible medium is because of the minimal negative impact on the environment. Even if one were to throw out an edible piece of artwork, it wouldn't affect the earth in the same manner discarded art from other materials would. And this particular card was my recreation using edible markers and edible luster dust of one of David Hockney's winter landscapes. Many of you probably know the famous British painter David Hockney. He's best known for his iconic swimming pool series, but he has actually done a few bucolic winter scenes. So I found one online and I kind of tried to mimic it. But I always give him credit because it is that thing. Now, moving on to the next slide. This is, I hand sculpted out of sugar paste, a mask. It's called Il Pagliaccio. And this was part of a sculpture I made for a benefit in LA with Placido Domingo at the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion. The benefit was hosted by Armenian Missionary Association of America, which is the Armenian charity du jour, or partner of my nonprofit. And I sculpted the homicidal clown face for my Pagliacci themed sculpture. And I like to tuck in sound modules whenever I can. So I actually tucked a sound module behind the face that was a recording from years yore of Placido Domingo singing Vesti la Jupa at the Metropolitan Opera House. And the final photo, yay! This is of a sugar paste and isomalt necktie being modeled by one of my humanitarian idols, Mohamed Yunus, who is a Nobel Prize winning economist and modern day founding father of microfinancing. And I had the honor of being invited a few years ago to a USAID Yunus Social Business Conference in Port-au-Prince, and was able to present him with a necktie, and he thought it was really funny. And it was just, you know, that's like my celebrity woozy moment. I don't get particularly excited about musicians or actresses and actors, but this was just so exciting for everyone. So that is the end of my slideshow. So let me get out of here. Okay. Yeah. So that is the end. And I just wanted to show people really quickly this. Earlier I had shown a sugar paste mask. And so this is, yeah.
Oh, no, never mind.
Okay.
Thank you.
So this is what it looks like 5 years in, just so you can see how edible art ages. Okay. So you saw the first one the first day, and this is now 5 years later. So it really does endure, the edible art.
Thank you. I know I'm a foodie, and so I have some questions for you that
of course
we'll get to, you know, after our next panelist, Yumi. And again, I want to welcome anyone who might be tuning in late. We are a panel of artists from Cambridge, a diverse community, and our art creativity certainly is very diverse and how we approach it. But I also want to say that we are part of Cambridge's virtual open studios, which you can find on csartcambridge.com, the Cambridge Art Marketplace, and link to all the artists' websites, which will still be up and running through the end of December. So anyone interested can, as we are into this holiday season, can certainly find good creative art to purchase online. And I also, again, want to thank CCTV and the Cambridge Arts Council for helping us do this. So now I want to move to our final art panelist, Yumi, who does this amazing Japanese paper theater called, and I'm not sure I can pronounce it right, but it's Kamishibai. And
yes, Kamishibai.
Kamishibai. Okay, so why don't you take it away then, Yumi, and share with us more of what you do.
Thank you, Bobby. So I'm a Kamishibai writer, illustrator, and storyteller. Kamishibai is a word in Japanese, and kami means paper, and shibai means theater. So it's a paper theater. Kamishibai is a traditional form of storytelling that originated in Japan during the Great Depression as a street performance for children. And artists would illustrate different scenes of a story, and then the storytellers would actually rent those stories, and then they would ride their bikes with a wooden box, carrying a wooden box in the back with the story cards, the Kamishibai cards, and then some candies, and a stage, which is similar to this one, attached to the box. And then they would go around the city looking for children that would be playing. And when they would find a group of children, then they would set up their bike and first sell some candies. And that's how they made money. And then they would tell a story. And so I'm just gonna give you a taste of a Kamishibai storytelling. So here is a traditional Japanese folk tale called The Rolling Rice Balls. One fine day in spring, an old man went to the mountain to chop some wood. He worked all morning, and then he sat down to eat the rice balls that he had brought for lunch. But when he tried to eat his rice ball, the rice ball slipped from his hand and started to roll down the mountain. "Hey, stop!" shouted the old man to the rice ball, but the rice ball kept on rolling down the slope until it fell into a large hole. When the old man got close to the hole and looked inside, he heard some voices singing. "Rolling, rolling, rice ball, rolling, rolling down the hall. Rolling, rolling, rice ball, rolling, rolling down the hall." What a nice song, thought the old man. He didn't want the singing to end, so he took the rest of his rice balls and threw them into the hole one by one. When he finished throwing all his rice balls into the hole, he became very curious. He wanted to know who was singing. But when he tried to look inside, he lost his balance and fell in. This time, the voices sang, rolling, rolling, old man, rolling, rolling down the hall. Rolling, rolling, old man, rolling, rolling down the hall. Now, if you want to know what happened to the old man next, you will have to come back tomorrow. And this way, the street performance would end on a cliffhanger, and they would make sure the children next day, they would come running and buy some more candies and listen to the story. So that's how the street performance of Kamishibai worked. And it was really the major form of entertainment for children in Japan during the 1930s, 40s, and 50s even. But then the television appeared, and that kind of the appeal to Kamishibai on the street started to diminish. But Kamishibai is still very well loved and used widely in Japan in libraries and in schools. And that's what I do. I take these stories with this portable stage, and I tell stories to children in the schools and also libraries in Cambridge, but also in the greater Boston. And I try to make it, well, first of all, of course, I tell the whole story. I don't leave them on a cliffhanger. And the other thing is I try to make the whole experience more educational by doing some more additional activities. I collaborate with a STEM instructor, Kendall Ingles. Kendall and I, we have story plus STEM programs. And we have many programs with different stories and different topics. And one of the stories, for instance, that we do as a STEM program, a story STEM program, is this story about a penguin and an old man. This old man rescued the penguin in an oil spill, and they develop a friendship. And this is a real story that happened in Brazil, which is where I'm from. And so I made this into Kamishibai, and then afterwards we do, for instance, a science experiment where they see the effects of a wing, a feather in contact with oil. And so this is the kind of things that I've been doing with Kamishibai. In the virtual open studio, I have different scenes of different stories framed. And this is from the Rolling Rice Ball, actually. To offer. But if you want to know more about the stories and all the stories that I have created so far, you can find that in my website, which is JapanesePaperTheater.com. I just wanted to share with you one last thing, which is my latest little project. And because of COVID, I haven't been visiting schools or libraries, so I had more time. And so I came up with this little small stage, Kamishibai stage. This was inspired by the a little stage that I had my father brought from Japan when I was little, and I loved that stage. And so I wanted to create something that looked like that. And so this is what I came up with. And I have the stories in the size that works for the stage. So you can put the cards inside the stage and then open the stage. And so it works just like a little Kamishibai. And you can, of course, slide the card. And I hope that with this, children can also enjoy Kamishibai at home without having to have a big stage. And the most important part of this set for me is that I decided to add some white cards, blank cards that just fit into the stage. And I have a message for the children, which is, now you tell me your story. And so what I'm hoping is that children actually will use these cards to make their own stories, write and illustrate, and then tell them to their siblings and families and so on. And creating kamishibai is a very actually common activity that we do in Japan in schools, and it's a great activity. And so I wanted to bring some of that experience that I had as a child to the children here. So here, this is my newest project. It's so new. I just created that. It's not featured anywhere. It's not in my website. It's not anywhere yet. But if you have any interest, you can contact me through the website. And I hope to put it in my website, but I'm not very technologically savvy, so these things take a little time for me. But that's what I do. And just the last thing I wanted to say is that I really try to very carefully choose the stories that I make into kamishibai. What kind of message it has in it. Something about human compassion, generosity, or about the environment. And it has always to do something also with my own experience. I go to one place for instance, I went back to Brazil, and when I visited a colonial city called Parachi, I decided to write, and it's next to a forest, a tropical forest. I decided to create a story that took place there. So the stories are always sort of part of my life. And so that's all.
Thank you, Yumi. One of our viewers has a question. We want to know what happened to the old man in the hole. Can you tell us? Give us the exciting.
So sure, of course. The old man finds actually little mice everywhere, and they make a party for the old man. And so that this is the illustration that I just showed you, and so on. But he is fine, and he enjoys himself. There is also a story right after. There is a greedy old man who also tries to do the same thing and have fun, and because the mice also give him gold coins and jewels, and he wants to get the same gold coins, but he of course ends with a very different ending. So that's the story.
Thank you. Well, now in the time remaining, maybe just about 10 minutes, we do want to invite questions from our audience. One question we had already was somebody would like to know if our program is recorded, and yes, it has been, or it is in the process of being recorded. People can tune in to the website, csrcambridge.com, and I think the link is programs or events, which will allow you to access any of the previous panels and our panel. There will be another panel coming up on Tuesday, December 8th, and then I guess the last one will be next Saturday, December 12th. But you can certainly watch all of the panels again through our website. Again, let me just see if we've got some more questions that have come up. Well, I've got a question asking me about how I chose acrylics for my art. And actually, it's because of its facility. I'm not really a fan of acrylics for doing painting, but the fact that acrylic medium like the gel allows for a transparent or a translucent and flexible material and allows you to easily transfer an image from paper to a kind of a plastic form is what I like about it. I find it really cool to work with it, and it's more for the process, almost this mixed medium process. And let me see if we've got another question. I guess I have a questions actually for Linda, since I'm a foodie myself, and you like to work with food material to create your art.
Yes.
I'm just wondering how long it stays edible. We know that food generally has a short shelf life. And of course, as I sometimes do, if you take the risk of eating something that's especially out of date or has been in your fridge too long, right, you can get sick.
Right.
So how do we know when your edible art actually is still good for eating?
Right. So that's a good question. And people always ask me, the first question they actually ask is, do people actually eat your art? And so I have different advice. And for an isomalt sculpture, if they are choosing to eat it rather than keep it on display, then I say eat it within 1.5 years. If for any kind of chocolate art, I recommend within a year. Now, should someone choose to just use it purely for display purposes, and in my apartment, it's just like a candy chocolate wonderland. I mean, there's a chocolate painting on my bar area that's 5 years old now. So that's the remarkable thing, is that I didn't know going into working with this medium, is that the pieces just endure and endure and endure. And as I said, this sugar paste mask, I mean, this is at 5 years old, and I've purposely not retouched it. So you can see it's still looking pretty good. Maybe not as good as in the photo, but yeah, I think many of these pieces just last indefinitely. But if you want to eat within 1.5 or 1 year for the chocolate, yeah.
Okay. And I also have a question for Nancy, which is, I guess, I think what's really apparent in your sunflowers is the feeling. You're really addressing a life experience that comes through. But I also note that, you work in black and white. I'm wondering if you've done anything in color, because color can also be, a good emotional vehicle.
because I use the Aqua Tint method, which is, I get so many tones from it. I feel like I've tried color, but what I'm trying to say comes across better in black and white for me. So it says what I want to say being in the black and white, and because of the method, I just have found that sometimes the color takes away from all these different tones and the intimacy that I'm trying to get from the pictures. It just doesn't. I have tried color, and I agree with you that color is can be emotional, but I found the black and whites for me need to work better.
Gotcha. I might share that myself. As much as I love color, I'm not sure I've gotten it to work as well as working in black and white too.
It's raw.
Yeah. And let's see, we have another question for Linda. If the edible cards are so edible, no environmental impact, how can they go through the mail? Can they not? Would you use a normal envelope to protect it?
Yes, that's a good question. Thank you. Generally, I hand these cards out in person, but you can mail it, and you would have to put it in a normal envelope. So yes, of course, that normal envelope would then be the same as if you had mailed a regular card, except at least the actual card itself would be consumed and not thrown out. And the interesting thing about potato starch paper, I actually have a piece to show people because I thought people might be interested, just so you can have an idea of how it's a lot more porous than traditional printing paper. And potato starch paper comes in different gauges. So if you buy the thicker, stiffer one, it will endure quite well and it can be mailed.
Okay. Then let's see. Couple of comments. Let's see. Well, thank you to all the artists for such a heartwarming sharing of your gifts. I will also remember the rice ball story and how sometimes even something scary like falling into a hole can lead to something good, like a mouse party. Let's see. And then there's also one comment, maybe also kind of directed towards Yumi. Then we learn STEM, STEM coding from the mice and the old man is done at Brookline Library series. I'm just reading it. I'm not sure I can interpret it. I don't know if anyone else gets it, but if you can, you can speak. I think we've only got a few minutes left. Oh wait, and here's a comment. Yumi, I know of a third grade class at St. Columkill Partnership School in Brighton that would love to experience your theater post-COVID. So again, that's the St. Columkill Partnership School in Brighton.
Thank you. I would just ask this person that maybe you could contact me through either the Cambridge website or my website, so we could talk about it. Thank you very much.
Okay. Let's see. I think I think our panel is about to end. I certainly want to thank everyone again for tuning in on this wintry day. It certainly looks like we've had some amount of a turnout, and we thank you for tuning in to get a sense of our art and how diverse basically our mixed media is in Cambridge. Even though we all work in such different ways, I I think in some ways we share something, and maybe it also gives a sense of how we've had to cope with COVID over this year, and maybe shift to some degree with how we work. So I want to thank once again the Cambridge Arts Council and CCTV for allowing us to do this and making it happen. And also then once again, to tune in or click on the csartcambridge.com website, where you can see all of our work as well as access our websites, and in this holiday season have a chance to purchase artwork. And our website will go through the end of December, through December 31st. And again, with that, I want to thank everyone for tuning in, and we hope you will check out our art further. Okay, so long, everyone.
Thank you, Bobby.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Bobby.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks all to you as well.
Thank
It was
you,
fun.
Kirsten, too, and CCTV.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kristen.
Cambridge Arts Council,
Yeah.
CCTV.